Mm. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this seventh session of Rap Knowledge Live. It's still early. We are going to start in about 8 minutes. So stay tuned and we'll be up and running really soon. Really happy to have you here. and we are closer to starting. We are right on time. Let's give more minutes. As I said, 5 for people to on entering into the meeting, and we can start in 2 minutes for respect of your own time. Okay, let's get started, and people can join us as we go through the presentations. Um, Again, and officially, let's say, thank you very much for being here today. Today is our seventh session since we are running the Rap Knowledge Live event and the first webinar of the year. We are really happy to be conducting this webinar today, and we will have follow-up webinars during the year. So I'll let you know where that agenda will be kept, so that you know in advance in which dates we are going to be joining. The idea is to do this once a month with that frequency. So yeah, it's great to get started this year with Rap Knowledge live events. For this event, as you know, we are going to be talking about Power BI reporting and its relationship with road safety. Greg Smith, our global program director, will be running the presentation, and I will be in charge of moderating it and being along with him during the presentation. I think you already know me, but let me introduce myself. My name is Franco Asato, and I am the training and accreditation coordinator with IRAP. And as I mentioned today, Greg Smith will be joining us, our program director for IRAP as well. Um, just in order to do some housekeeping, if you have been joining us to different Rap Knowledge Live events, you will have noticed that we changed the platform in which we are running it. We are now doing it in a Zoom environment to see if that's a little bit friendly with you, which is some of the feedback that we got. So this webinar is going to run for about 45 minutes, and we will have Q&A space after it. As I said, in this Zoom environment, you should see this dashboard. So you should see a dashboard in which you have the chat box, the Q&A box. You can put some closed captions if you want to. Um, I don't know if I recommend the closed captions with my kind of accent because I don't know if it will get it, but with Greg, you will have great and accurate captions. And then you will see the raise and lower hand button. So during the presentation, I will ask you to hit on the Q&A box and submit your questions. I will be receiving those and directing them to Greg during his presentation. when there's a room for that. And after the presentation, in the proper Q&A space, I will be allocating the microphone usage to each of you, the ones who want to make questions. So you will raise your hand, I will establish the order, and of course, you can speak out your question, and we would really appreciate that. We would really want to hear you. So that's how it's looking. Now I would like to officially introduce and give the floor to Greg. So Greg, if you are there, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Franco. I need to get permission from you to turn my video on.
Okay.
It's telling me I don't have permission at the moment,
I'll give you the permission for
but
sure.
I can keep talking. And if you want to jump into the next slide, we can get started on the agenda. But while Franco is doing that, hi everyone. I'm Greg. Thank you very much for taking the time to join this webinar. Hopefully you'll find it valuable and interesting. So what we're going to do in this session is talk about using Power BI, the Microsoft tool, with IRAP data. It's one of these tools that I think is becoming increasingly popular for visualizing and bringing data to life. And it's something that here at IRAP, we're making a lot of use of right now. So we're going to show you where to get the Power BI desktop app from, where you can get some Vita download files from. So Vita is the IRAP software where you calculate the star ratings and investment plans. I'll give you a quick demonstration of how you can put those Vita files quickly into Power BI and amazingly quickly, really, produce visual interactive graphics that can help bring your data and your analysis to life. I'm then going to show you and share with you a template, a Power BI project dashboard template that you'll be able to download yourself and bring your own IRAP data into to start bringing your raw reports to life as well. So the purpose of this is really to complement the reporting power that's already in the IRAP Vita software, and I'll show you a little about that in a moment. But this is really to complement that and give you a bit more interactivity and, in a way, share some ideas about how you might report your data and sort of give you insights into the flexibility that can be available. So we'll get into that right now. If I can share my screen, Franco.
Yes, you should have all the permissions now, Greg, to share your screen and to show your face for sure, to start video, let's say.
Brilliant. Hopefully you can see that. See my screen?
Yes, perfectly.
Great. So what we're really talking about here is these sorts of interactive reports. So if you go to our website and have a look at irap.org and take a look at the resources menu, there's an item called interactive reports. These are all examples of reports that are using mostly Power BI. Perhaps I think there's one that's not. It's using a different set of software. But these are all examples of reports that are live and you can take a look at. It includes the IRAP Safety Insights Explorer, the star rating for schools, tracker, which you can take a look at, data from the Tanzania 10 Steps project, data from Brazil that our friends at DINIC, the National Road Authority, has published for the National Highway Network in Brazil, and so forth. So if you scroll down through that screen, you can see lots and lots of examples. What we're going to be focusing on actually is this one right here at the middle at the top, the IRAP Power BI project dashboard. So that's the tool that we're going to download in a little while, and I'll show you how to populate that and make use of it with your data. So I'll come back to that in a little moment. So for those of you who haven't used Power BI, and actually this might be interesting, you could perhaps let us know in the chat that Franco showed you in the Zoom. Let us know, have you used Power BI before to report your data or not? It'd be really interesting to know how many of you have actually used Power BI before. If you haven't used it before, a simple thing to do is a Google search for Power BI desktop download. It's going to bring up some options. I always find this second one is the best one. So it's a Microsoft product. You should get a screen that looks something like this. And this is what you're looking for here, the Microsoft Power BI desktop app. So you can download that onto your computer. I'm not going to do that right now because I've already got it installed and it takes a little while to get set up. That's a free bit of software. So the things I'm going to show you in this webinar, you can do with the free edition. There are paid versions, and that gives you more capabilities for particularly sharing your results within your organization and various levels of security. But we don't need that for what we're going to be looking at now. So one of your first steps after this webinar is to jump onto this page and download the Power BI desktop app. The next thing you're going to want to do is get some data to feed into the app. So I'm going to go to the IRAP software, the vida.irap.org software. If you haven't used Vida before, you're going to need to register to make use of it. It's a simple process at the login screen. It'll send you an email that you'll need to confirm that you want to register, and away you go. But really what I guess this webinar is a lot focused on is the people who are using Vida to produce data and produce reports. So for those of you who are in that situation, this will be very familiar. So what we want to do is grab some data from Vida. So I'm going to jump into the results section of the Vida software, and it will bring up the screen in a moment.
Greg, while it loads, you should be able to enable your webcam now.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not totally sure people want to see me, but let's see if I can do that here. Here we go. Okay.
Perfect.
Here you go. Just to convince everyone I am a real person and not an AI. Okay. So here's the standard reporting that we have in Vida. So at the top of the screen, or on the main screen, you can see that we're looking at the star ratings for a section of road. And at the top of the screen, you can see the menu with the different star rating options, whether in table form, chart form, risk worms, and maps. You can look at the road data in various forms, the fatalities and serious injuries, the investment plan, and the download files. So what you want to do is grab some data. You can grab any data that you've produced or you have access to and bring it into the Power BI tool. It doesn't matter how big or how small the data is, it's going to work with this tool. So I've already filtered my data and selected a data set here. And what I'm going to do is jump straight to the downloads file section. So I want to download 4 files. So this Power BI template that we've created is designed to work with 4 key files. So I want to grab the core before data. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give me the little box to say request, and that should load up in my screen. So, and when it's ready, it's going to give me a little message up here at the top to say that download is ready. The other one I want is the core data after. So I'm going to click on that one as well. I want the fatality estimations before, and click on that one. And I want the countermeasures excluding overridden. I want that one. So when we're loading this data up into the tool, I'll explain a little bit more about why we just use those 4 files. But really, the Power BI can work with any of these files. It's just that our template's set up for those ones in particular. So just to give you a quick explanation, if you're not familiar or might have forgotten, this data is all the IRAP coding data, the road attribute data, sort of what's on the road, plus the star ratings for an existing road before any application of an investment plan. So as the road is as it is when it was assessed. The core data after is what the star ratings and the road attributes would look like after the application of an investment plan. So if we built the safety measures that were identified in the IRAP assessment and the investment plan, that's the data that shows you what the situation is after that. Fatality estimations are the estimations of numbers of deaths by road user type and crash type for each 100 meters of road, in this case before any application of countermeasures. And the countermeasures file, this is the Safer Roads investment plan countermeasures that were identified. And excluding overridden means that we're not bringing in any of the countermeasures that didn't pass the economic or logic tests. So for example, if a roundabout was triggered in the investment plan, but the benefit cost ratio was less than 1, and that was the threshold, it wouldn't have been brought into this plan. So that's the one we want to use. It's going to be a smaller file than this one, which is much larger. So you're going to get a little message at the top here to download your files, and you can click on each one of those. It's going to ask you if you're ready to download those files, and you can click yes. What you're going to get is a series of zip files that you'll need to unzip, and save onto your computer. So just to save a little bit of time, I'm going to jump to my file that I've done already. So I've downloaded those files right here. That's each of those 4 files. And what I'm going to do is put them into my folder on the desktop. So I've just created on my desktop a Power BI dashboard folder. So here you have the core before file, core after file, fatality estimations before, and countermeasures file. So those ones are in CSV format, and we can leave them right like that. So what I want to quickly do is do a very quick demonstration of how you can bring that data into Power BI and do some visualizations of the data very, very quickly. So I'm going to open up Power BI on my computer. Just take a moment to get itself started. This is a moment where I need to be able to tell jokes to fill in the blank space. Okay, so you should get something that looks like this. We want to create a new report. So I'm going to click on that right there. And I've just got the Zoom menus. There we go. And we want to import data from Excel. So I'm going to click on that button right there, go to my folder where I saved these files. I'll need to change this to look for all files. So it picks up a CSV. I want to bring in first the core data before. So this is the star ratings and road attributes for like the existing road. So click OK. It's going to load up a screen. And here it is, giving me a snapshot of what that data looks like. So for those of you who are familiar with doing IRAP assessments, this is your typical core data file. So every row of data represents 100 meters along the road, and the columns are the different attributes ranging from the coda name, the road name, the distance along the road, right through to all the road attributes recorded here in these columns, and then right across the side, on the right-hand side is the star ratings, etc. So we're going to press the load button. We're going to load that data into our model here in Power BI. And that will appear over on the right-hand side here, in the data tab over here. It's going to show me that sheet there. So it's just bringing that in right now. Takes a moment to get itself set up. And there it is there. So what you can see here in the data tab is that sheet that I brought in, and every one of these items is a column of that data. So you can see lots of columns of the data that have been brought in. Now, I just want to bring in another one as well. So I'm going to click on Excel again. Oops, I need to tell it CSV, always make that mistake. Just for this example, I'm also going to bring in the fatality estimations data. So I'm going to open that one up. And again, it gives me a visualization or a snapshot of what that data looks like. I'm going to load it as it is. And just take a moment to bring that in. And we'll see it appear here over on the right-hand side. So here we have the core data before and fatality estimations before. Now, a really important point, and one of the really powerful things about Power BI is if I click this model view, it's going to give us a nifty little picture here. And what this is really showing, or what this is showing us, is that Power BI has automatically connected these two tables together. So if I can click on this little linkage here, what it's telling me over the right-hand side is it's connected this table, fatality estimations, with the core data before table, based on the column called latitude. So what it said is, I can see that there's a column called latitude in each one of those files. I'm going to match those up so that make the assumption that in each one of those 100 meters in that column, there's going to be a matching pair in each one of these tables. It doesn't quite make sense to match up on latitude, so it wasn't quite right. But what I am going to do is connect those by location ID. So in an IRAP assessment, every single location, every single 100 meters of road gets its own ID point. And that's really powerful because it means that we can connect all these different CSV files, these tables together. So I'll apply those changes and I'll be happy that I've connected that together. I'll go back to our report view and now we can actually do something fun. So I'm just going to click the stacked bar chart here and start populating that with data. So I'm going to say, let's start looking at road length. So we're going to look at something at road length. And I want to know, for example, what are the star ratings for vehicle occupants? So I might bring in the star rating raw data here and pop it into the y-axis field. So you can see right away it's giving me a chart showing the length of road on the horizontal by star rating on the vertical. So if I hover over here, I can see 1.4 kilometers of road is 1 star, 2.8 is 2, 3, and so forth. Perhaps I'm a bit more interested in the percentage of road by star rating. So that's very easy to do. We can jump in here, take a look at the sum of length, and bring up that, click that little down arrow, scroll down, and show value as percentage of grand total. So that's now giving us the percentage. So we're saying we can see that 39% of this road is 4 stars and so forth. If I click up here into this little format visual, I can click there. Down here, there's a data labels button as well. So I can click that. So this is going to give me the labels that I can see quite easily. So also, you know, the star ratings are also associated with particular colors. So very easy to quickly color those as well. If I go to the format, go down to the bars section. So bars are the blue bits. Click on the 1 star and I can make that black. Click on 2 star, I can make that red. 3 is going to be orange and 4 is going to be kind of yellow. There we go. So quickly made a really like visual chart of the star ratings of this road. But this is the part where I think it gets really interesting, is that we can start to do visualizations of other parts of data, and because they can be linked together, we can use them to cross-filter one another. So I've just clicked another chart here, stacked bar chart again, and if I drag the length across in here to the x-axis, and let's say we might look at what's an attribute that might be interesting for us to look at in this case. So if I do, let's take a look at the number of lanes. Okay, so we can see in this case, 9.4 kilometers is lanes 1, and 2.1 kilometers is 2 lanes. So some of this road is 1 lane in each direction, some is 2 lanes in each direction. Now, the super powerful thing that Power BI can do is I can use these to filter across one another. So let me see what the star ratings are of the sections of road where there's 2 lanes. If I just click on that once, you can see very quickly that the pattern changes for the star ratings. None of the road is rated 4 stars in that case. 52 is 2 star and 33 is 3 star. So very quickly I can say, talk about the relationship between the numbers of lanes and the star ratings. And of course I can click on the 1 star as well, and it's going to give me that sense of what the star ratings are for that road. And we can do that for any one of these attributes, which is incredibly powerful. So if I bring in, for example, a pie chart or a donut chart, perhaps I'm going to be interested in the speeds and the relationship to the star ratings and the numbers of lanes. So I can bring in, for example, operating speed, bit right there. So this chart is showing me, going things around a bit, the percentage of road according to the operating speeds, whether it's code 7 or code 13. So if I click on the code 7, you can see, okay, mostly there's 2 and 3 stars. If I click on the code 13, okay, we've got a lot of 4 stars there. And you can see that interrelationship between the different attributes right there. We can also, because we connected the data to the fatality estimations, I'm just going to click a card visualization. And I'm going to go over and grab some of the fatality estimations. So if I go to the fatality file and bring in the total fatality serious injuries estimation, bring that over here, we can see, okay, here's the number. Here's the estimated numbers of fatalities and serious injuries on this whole road. But what is it for the 1-star road? Okay, 5.67 on 1-star, 5.25 on 2-star, 3.71 on 3-star, and 5 on the 4-star. And you can see as I'm clicking through those, these other graphics are filtering as well. So just a very quick sort of few minutes. It's really demonstrating how quickly you can bring the VITA data into Power BI and create very compelling and very visual and interactive graphics for your reports. And what you find is there's almost no limit to what you can do. You don't have to just use the VITA data, of course. You can connect this with other geographic data, crash data, weather data, all sorts of data that becomes incredibly interesting. So that's the end of the first section. Is there any questions or comments, Franco?
So far, no questions, Greg. So we can
Okay.
continue with the presentation.
Okay, so excellent. What I'm going to do now, so that's just a quick demonstration of how you can bring data into a raw Power BI desktop. So I'm going to close all that, get rid of that. The next thing I want to do is show you what we've done in terms of building a template to help you do this and help bring your data to life. So after this webinar, I recommend you go onto this page, the irap.org interactive reports page, and click on the IRAP Power BI project dashboard. So when you click on that, it's going to automatically download a file for you. So it's going to be a zip file. I'll just bring it up right there. So that's it. That's it there. You should get I've done it before also. So you'll get an IRAP Power BI dashboard.zip. So what you want to do is unzip that onto your computer. Do that right now. And it's going to give you two files. One is the Power BI file, and one called an Excel file. It's called IRAP codes lookup. You're going to need both of those to make this work. So what I'm going to do is copy that, jump back to my desktop folder that I had before, and put it in alongside those files that I downloaded earlier as well. So here we have the 4 files that I downloaded earlier from VITA, the Power BI dashboard, and the IRAP codes Excel file. So next step is you just want to double click on that Power BI and it's going to open up right away. So just take a moment while that opens up.
Greg, while
Yes.
it opens up, we received a question from Joanna, asking if it's the plan to add an option to export data from VITA, that it's translated in terms of instead of importing the codes, exporting the codes, sorry, exporting what the codes mean. For instance, speed instead of speed 13, exporting the actual speed that was coded with code 13.
Yeah, fantastic question. And I think we have some of the IRAP development team here who are responsible for developing and running VITA. Perhaps they'd like to jump in with an answer for that, but I totally agree that would be incredibly helpful. In the interim, this template that I'm going to show you does that for you. Actually, it's one of the functions that we put in here because we know it is quite frustrating. And the question really relates to the fact that in all the IRAP coding, we'll do a number. So speed at 40 kilometers an hour might be code 2, 50 kilometers an hour is code 3, and so forth. So those numbers, unless you're very familiar with the IRAP system, don't mean much to you. So you need to translate those into plain text. So that's what this Power BI tool that I'm going to show you right now does do. So when you open up the tool, it's going to look something like this. It's going to have a screen here. You'll probably land on this mapping page. The very first thing that you'll need to do is connect this Power BI with the data that you want to visualize. So that data that you download from Vida, those 4 files, which can be any one from any data set, you'll need to do a connection. So what you need to do, and this is where it gets maybe a little tricky, but we're recording this so you can come back and look at it again. You want to click on the transform data button right there. So that's going to take you into this environment. It's kind of like the behind the scenes of the Power BI visualization. Over on the left-hand side, there's what we call the queries. So I'm just going to minimize these ones for now. The ones you're interested in are in this category called Vida download and reference files. So you can see here, there's 5 file names, and these match up to those files pretty much. These are based on those files that we put into our folder on my desktop. So what we need to do is connect each one of these queries to that data. So I'm just going to click once on the core data after. Then I'm going to go right over the right-hand side into this query settings bar on the right-hand side. You're going to see a little step in the applied steps called source. So what you want to do is click on this little cog here, and it's going to bring up a little dialog box, and bring up a little dialog box like this. You want to click on browse and find the file that matches up. So we're looking at the core data after. I want to open up the core data after from my desktop. So I'm just going to press open there and OK. And that's it. That one is connected. So we want to do that for each one of these files. So now I'll do the core data before. Click on the before, open and OK. IRAP codes, lookup, same again, go to the source, click on the little cog. This one is an XLS file. It's not a CSV, so this dialog box looks a little different, but you don't have to worry about that. Just click on browse. It's going to show you where that file is. You go back to there, click on that, press OK. Fatality estimations. Again, go to the source, browse, fatality estimations, and countermeasures is the last one. So click on that, browse. Okay. The very last step, once you've done each one of those 5 files, is go up here to this button called Close and Apply. So we're going to close and apply. And now it's going to think about it and do some connections and calculations, I think. Here we go. Here we go. It's loading that data into what it calls the model. Just might take a moment because it's a little bit bigger data than we were looking at before, but won't take too long. Something I said earlier, though, and I'll just repeat, is that the good thing about Power BI is it's very scalable. Like you could bring in Vida data for 10 kilometers of road or 10,000 kilometers of road into this template, and it's going to work equally well. The only thing that you might notice different is the load time for the data to come into the model might be, well, it will be longer the more data you have. But once it's loaded, the interactivity will perform the same way, no matter whether it's a small amount of data or a lot of data. So it's just doing that process now. It takes a moment, and there we go. So all done. So that data is loaded in now. So many of the reports in this template you'll recognize from the Vida interface and software as well, but there's a few extra features that we've built in, plus a few extra reports as well. So one of the key things about this report is that the filters are available at the top of the screen. So I'll just talk you through some of these. So we have a button here to say before or after. So this is whether the road is before investment plan is implemented, or if I click on that button, after the investment plan is implemented. So that's a little switch on off. You also have the option to present the star ratings as raw version. So star ratings every 100 meters along the road, or the smooth edition, which is the edition that we mostly use for reporting at the project and network level. You can include the star ratings, and here we say they're not applicables. So you might know for when you do IRAP assessments that you get some sections of road where a star rating is not produced. So that might be where there's major roadworks happening, or where there's no flow of that road user. So if there's no pedestrian, for example, it'll be a not applicable section. So you can choose whether you want to include those NAs in the reporting or not. You can filter by the road name. In this case, there's just one road name, by the road user, so bicyclists, motorcyclists, pedestrians, or vehicles, road section, area type, whether it's rural or urban, speed limit, carriageway, and AEDT, so traffic flow. So these are some standard filters that we've put across the top. And I should just say, this tool, this template, you're going to be free to edit it and use it however you like. So if you want to add additional filters, you're totally welcome to do that as well. And in fact, if you have good ideas about how this template could be improved or different reports created, we would love to hear from you so that we can put it into the template for others. So down the bottom, you can see a whole series of different reports that are available that we've created. So we have the maps that we're looking at right now. And of course, you can zoom in and out of that very easily. We have the star rating charts presented as the donuts. So you can see here, we're presenting them as star ratings by travel and star ratings by length. So star ratings by length of road or percentage of travel. So on a very small road like this, you won't see a large difference, but this is incredibly valuable if you want to start getting a sense of where most travel is happening on the network. You might often find, for example, that many of your roads are rated 1 or 2 stars, but most travel might be happening on 3 or 4 star roads because it's more focused on the high performance roads. So that's available for you to look at as well. Got that same data presented in table form with the star ratings by travel and star ratings by length. And also the investment plan, which you'll recognize from your standard IRAP assessments in VEDA. The only little bit different thing that we've added here is we've just put a slider here, a filter that you can filter this report by the minimum benefit cost ratio. So you might know from when you do the IRAP assessments, every countermeasure gets subject to an economic test and gets its own benefit cost ratio. So for instance, at the moment, we're looking at this plan and it's saying we could save 193 fatalities and serious injuries at a cost of 232 million in local currency. But if you wanted to know, okay, I don't have 232 million, I have a little bit less. What if I slide this across? Okay, for 4.2 million, I would save 53 lives. If I have even less money, 2.5 million, I'm going to save 38 fatalities and serious injuries. So it's quite a simplistic approach. If you really want to do this properly, you would process your data again through VEDA with these different settings. But this is quite handy to give you a quick snapshot of the sort of economics of the plan that's being produced. So something really, I think, really cool and fun to play with and get a sense of. We've also got here a tab called Before and After Comparison. So this is really focused on the length of road that's 3 stars or better. So for bicyclists, 33%, it's 3 stars or better before. And then after the safety interventions that were shown in that investment plan, 100% would be 3 stars or better. So moving right through these ones, this is a different report that you won't see in VEDA, just an idea of how you might present a snapshot of your data and really illustrates how you can bring the different data sources together. So what you're seeing here is pie charts or donut charts of the pedestrian, bicyclist, motorcyclist, and vehicle occupant star ratings. These numbers are your average star rating in each one of those. So on average, this road is 3 stars for pedestrians. The road length, the estimated annual fatalities and serious injuries on that road, and just a quick snapshot of some of the key attributes that we know are really important for road safety. So again, you have the before and after filter here. So you can say, what would it look like if I implemented all those treatments in the investment plan? I'd have 10 fatalities and serious injuries as a result of that plan compared to 20 before. And you can see quite a change in the star ratings as a result of that as well. But again, just to illustrate, that is like all interactive as well. So if I want to know what the situation is on this 1 star section of sections of road for motorcyclists, like what is it that's driving that to become 1 star? If I click on that right there, it's going to filter all of these other data as well. So you can see some of the patterns that start to appear. You can see on average, these sections have many more four-leg intersections than before. But actually, funnily enough, a lot of it is divided as well. So it gives you this incredible power in terms of interrogating the data. I can see what the star ratings, for example, is on undivided roads versus the divided roads and so forth. So just a suggestion about how you might present your data. And like I said before, this is a template that's editable by you as well. So you can start to make changes and experiment with different data. This is another example of an idea about how you might present some of your data. It looks better when you do with lots and lots of road sections. So we're just using one short road here right at the moment. But what this is showing is a chart on the left-hand side, your average vehicle occupant star rating on the vertical, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and fatalities and serious injuries per year per kilometre along the horizontal. So it's segmented into 4 quadrants. So you imagine this quadrant up the top, right-hand side, this is where star ratings are good. So the infrastructure is generally pretty good. And the fatalities and serious injuries per kilometre are low. So this quadrant is ideally where you land your road sections. That's the dream, to have good star ratings and low crash rates. But you can get sections where, for instance, you have good star ratings and high crash rates. That may indicate that although the infrastructure might be suitable, something else might be going on that's explaining those high crash rates. So each one of those quadrants have a sort of different implication for how you might strategize to improve the safety of your network. And again, because you can do the before and after filter, it shows you where each one of these dots. So each one of these dots represents a section of road. Because there's only one section of road section here, it's just got one dot. But you can see before and after that dot is moving on the chart. And this table over here is just showing the road lengths, vehicle flow, fatalities and serious injuries per kilometre, and the average star rating. So again, another report that might come in useful when you're trying to analyze and strategize about how to improve the safety performance of your network. We also have a chart looking at crash types. So different crash types for different roads. And if you have multiple roads, you'll get a different bar in each one of those. So you can see, for example, for motorcyclists, the head-on risk is in green, intersection risk dark green, loss of control on driver's side is blue and orange, and this little bit here is the risk of going along. So another way of presenting your data. We also have the key performance indicators. So these are yet another way of interrogating your data and presenting your data. So this is looking at combinations of treatments in many cases. So on this road, we can say 53% of the road where pedestrians are present have sidewalks. None of the pedestrian crossings are adequate quality. Bicyclists have facilities, or there's speeds less than 40 kilometers an hour. So only 20% of the road fits into that category and so forth. So these are high-level key performance indicators that you might use, again, for your network. And again, they're fully interactive, so you can click on the operating speed over here and see what the different sections might be performing at. Or I can filter by the carriageway type, for example, and see what the KPIs are for the different carriageway types. So very interactive and very visual examples of the data. That data is also presented in table form. So that's another way of presenting that data easily. And then we have a series of tabs that talk about the actual road attributes themselves. So firstly, looking at the roadsides, what are the actual roadside situation that we have? How many kilometers have signs or posts or poles, for example? How many kilometers have trees? We have the mid-block sections as well, presented here. Intersections. We have an intersection map. So a map showing all the intersections, locations will pop up in a moment. And the coloring is based on the star ratings for vehicle occupant in this case. Actually, this one needs to be adjusted. This row is actually right. So you can see the intersections plotted and the star ratings for vehicles for each one of those. So it helps you to get a sense of where the high risk locations might be in terms of intersections. We have a page or a report looking at the flows, one looking at pedestrian facilities specifically, bicycles and powered two-wheelers, and finally the different speeds. So speed limit, truck speed limit, motorcycle speed limit, 85th percentile, and mean speed. And again, all of those can be filtered by each one of these different filters at the top, so you can quickly get a report on the levels of speeds by different filter area. And at the very end, you have one called About. So this gives you some background about the tool, but importantly, it gives you the instructions about how to upload the data or connect the data to the Power BI in case you don't have a chance to join this webinar or you forget what's in there. So that's a super quick introduction to this tool. Really encourage you to download it, get some data from Vita and connect them together and see what sorts of reports that you can produce using it. And as I said before, I'm really, really keen to see and hear from you about what sorts of reports you would like added to this template, what sort of information you find helpful in your projects, particularly when you're producing reports and having to convince decision makers or designers about the merits of changes to the road to improve safety. So with that, Franco, it's been a whirlwind tour. Hopefully we'll be able to share the video of this if people need to find out exactly what buttons to press and when. But yeah, I'll wrap it up and hand back to you.
Exactly, Greg. Thank you very much for the demonstration. And for those of you who recognize that road that Greg has been showing, that's good because it means that you have been taking the new Star Rating Essential course. Those who don't recognize, I invite you to undertake that course. We have refreshed it. It has new content, and I really encourage you to take that course. I will override your screen sharing, Greg, and I'll share my screen once
Franco,
again.
would you mind actually? There's one last thing that I would like to show.
Sure.
I forgot about that.
Go ahead.
Here you're going to find, and you can do this with the free version as well. I forgot to add that there's a button right here called Publish. So you can press that Publish button. And what that's going to do is put it into your own personal workspace in the cloud, on the Power BI cloud. So I'm just going to open that quickly so you can see what that looks like. Because it's quite important, because while that's opening, each one of these reports has actually been published, and you can use the reports on the website in a live way. So if I just quickly jump onto the Star Rating for Schools example, it's going to open that up quickly. Actually, I think we interim page. So you can see it's actually literally owning the Power BI report while it's embedded into our web page right here. And it just takes a moment to load up. But once it's loaded up, it's fully interactive. So all that interactivity that I showed you in the template, that can be available on a website page as well. So we have the buttons here and we can click them, and all the data updates and changes as well, in real time. So that can be incredibly powerful. If you imagine you're doing a project and you want to share an interactive report with your clients or with your partners, one of the ways to do it is embed it in one of the pages of a website. So once you get to the page, you can sign in to the Power BI. So I just typed in Microsoft Power BI, but this is the actual link here on the screen, but you're going to find it very easily with a Google. It's going to load up your own app, your Power BI app in the cloud. And all of the reports are right there. So I'm just going to open up the one that we've been playing with right now. I'll just show you this one way to publish the data, which we use quite a bit. So here it is. This is the same template that we were looking at before. It's got slightly different data populated in here. So for example, the charts look a little different while it's published. So if you go to, well, there's different things you can do here. You can export this to a PowerPoint, so you can embed an image into your PowerPoints, which you can use in your project PowerPoints. You can embed live data into a PowerPoint as well, so that literally the data can be filtered while it's in the PowerPoint. But the one I like a lot is embed report. So if I go to File, Embed Report, you can publish to the web. So this becomes public. So you can't necessarily keep this private. If I click Publish to the web, it's going to give me a warning just to make sure that, yes, I really want to do that. And I can click Publish. It's going to give me these links, these HTML links. And this one is really useful, this HTML link that you can paste into a website. So if you were just to copy that, create a new website, your own website on your organization, for example, you might call it IRAP Project Interactive Report. You can embed that code into your web page, and it's going to load it up in real time so that you can interrogate that data live. So it really opens up lots of opportunities for you to share the data in a very interactive way onto your websites. So yeah, just a quick example. I just wanted to make that final point, Franco, that you can get this data in a form that's very interactive, but you can also share it with people quite quickly and easily.
It's great, and also just to mention it loud and speaking, you can do this analysis with the free version of Power BI, as Greg answered in the Q&A that you should see there. But it's important to be mentioned. I'm going to share my screen once again. So yeah, perfect. Here we are. Um, yeah, in Greg presentations, and you will receive this presentation afterwards. There are the links that were used in this webinar, in everything that Greg has been showing. So you have the Power BI desktop link, the VIDA link, of course, to access your datasets, and the IRA Power BI dashboard files that you may get access to as well. There are no questions and answers written, but while we do the wrap up, I would invite you to start raising your hands if you would like if you would like me to give you the floor to ask something to Greg about the presentation. Um, about next editions, as I was saying in the beginning of the webinar, here in irap.org/training, in schedule live webinars, you will see, and I will refresh it, you will see all the information regarding the next RAP Knowledge Live events and some other events related to training that we will have during the year. So please stay tuned and visit this website to be on the same page on our chronograms to see each other regularly. Um, in more information, of course, you can download, you can access to a row safety toolkit through this link. You will have this handy. Then the RAP tools, the IRAP training website to see the different trainings that we have available as of today for you. Of course, the IRAP accreditation website as well. The IRAP safety insights, and the IRAP innovation. In these links, you may have all the information you want to get. And also always important to mention, depending on when you are located, who your regional contacts will be. For Asia Pacific, we will have Greg. For Europe, we will have Samar. And for Latin America, we will have Edgar Zamora. And for Africa, we will have Natalie. So depending again on where you are located, these are the contacts that you want to get in touch with. IRAP related. Here you have their emails, and yeah, looking forward to hearing more from you. So I will stop sharing my screen now, and I will be really interested, and Greg as well, in hearing from you. So I don't see any hands raised by now, but please, if you do have questions, you you can talk it loud. So Sanjeev, I see that you have your um, hand raised. Let me look for you here and allocate the microphone for you. Give me 1 second. There you are, Sanjeev. You should be able to unmute yourself now. I see that you unmuted, but I cannot hear you.
Uh, Now is
Now,
it okay?
now it's okay. Yep.
Okay, I am working in Libreville. It's in Gabon country, and here we have one road project. It's a 6-lane road, and length is almost 6 kilometer, and it is in the middle of the town. Uh, I have done my master in transportation engineering, and I want to I mean gain some knowledge to conduct road safety audit, something like that. It's just I think this is my first interaction with IRAP. If you can give me some idea, if there anyone is working in Libreville, then I can connect and can associate something like that. It's quite different from this webinar. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. And thanks so much for raising your hand and raise that. I think that a very important thing when getting into IRAP, let's say, and onboarding, it's the training and understanding how the tools work. So yeah, we can get in touch after the webinar and we discuss some training opportunities, the two of us, and how to do a good onboarding with this if you agree. In the last slide that I will share, you will see my email there, and we can totally discuss that. Really happy to.
Okay.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Simon, I see your hand raised. You should be able to unmute yourself now.
Yes, I have done, Franco. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. No, it's very interesting. Thanks a lot. I put a question in the Q&A, but possibly it didn't come through. And it's not directly related to the Power BI, but it's more about the way that a road is divided into 100-meter sections. Is it possible to adjust that? Because I could imagine a situation when one is dividing a road into sections and a particular feature, let's say a roundabout, could come at the boundary between two sections, so that any particular accident data from the roundabout is split into two neighboring sections and is also diluted with another sort of 50 meters on either side. Is it possible to adjust it so that each section is, about 100 meters, but it therefore is able to sort of well bracket particular features? It's a more of a general point about the process rather than the Power BI, I accept.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
can jump
answered.
in.
Okay, great, Greg. Yep, I will leave that with you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks, Simon, for the question, and it's a really good one, and I can totally see the situation that you're talking about. The short answer is no. The 100 meters are fixed in the IRAP assessments, and that's for various reasons. It actually causes more complexity if we sort of massage those lengths a little. You can sort of start your surveys or your assessments at different points if you know that exact situation is going to pop up. But when we're doing the analysis, I spoke very briefly about the different ways of presenting the data, whether it's the raw star rating or the smooth star rating. So the raw star rating is where like every 100 meters gets its own star rating. But what we then do is this smoothing that goes over the top of that. that helps to sort of account for, you do get these spikes in the risk score as you go along, particularly at intersections. So that does help to sort of take care of some of the challenge that you're talking about. You would smooth those sections, the scores of those sections across a slightly longer section of road, so that you could pick up those consecutive 100 meters of star rating scores and consecutive 100 meters of crash data as well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Franco, Greg. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you so much, Simon. Yeah, I don't see any more raised hands. Let me see. Yeah, we don't have any other hand raised by now. So let me quickly share my screen once again, because I want you to also have my email handy in case you need it. So regarding trainings and accreditation, of course, you know that you can contact me through franco.asato, which is my last name, at irap.org. But related the Rap Knowledge Live events also, I mean, if there are questions further on this webinar, or if you couldn't attend to a webinar and you are watching the recording, please don't hesitate to send me an email with any question or any concern that you may have about what was presented, and I'll be happy to direct your question with the speaker, in this case, Greg, or give you an answer on your question. So yeah, with that, I think we reached the 60 minutes webinar. If there's any question that hasn't been answered, I'll check on that and do an email answer. And yeah, remember that also in the website in irap.org/training, you will have the recording of this session available for you to download, as well as the presentation, the slide deck that Greg has presented. In this case, you will make good use of the video rather than the presentation, because the valuable thing has been all the screen sharing that Greg did for us today. And yeah, with that, I would like to again thank you for taking your time to be here with us today. I know it's night for a lot of you, so we really appreciate that, and hope to see you soon in the next event of Rap Knowledge Live. So yeah, thank you so much, and see you.